Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that little blank there. Episode 95 of So What's Been Happening, Thursday, the 1st of August. It's time's rolling on now as we head closer to episode 100. Who would have thought, hey? The old story, it wasn't supposed to go past episode 1, but it's been a long journey during the bad years where it kicked off as I think I heard Nathan refer to them as the bad years at a gig only on the weekend. And that's probably the best way to determine it. And let's forget about those days and hope they never return. But we've had many guests return, and we hope after we have a chat with Nathan, that he can return and have a good chat to us every time he brings out a new single or an album. So it's an exciting time for Nathan to bring out new music on the back of the bad years and bring it into the good years. It's an exciting time. So we're going to talk about, just before we bring Nathan up, we're just going to run through very quickly what we normally do. We start off with the number, and depending on what that number was, what happened, whether it be someone wearing the number 95 or what happened in 95. So here's a couple of 95s for you. There we are, 1995, and some famous 95s in there. So, all right, let's move on and bring up fresh off Fuzzy Sundays, which was only last Sunday. Fantastic guest. Here we bring him up, Nathan Seeckts. How are you, mate?
Good, Aaron. How are you?
Yeah, welcome, mate. Welcome to What's Been Happening.
Thank you very much. It was look, when you start with Windows 95, how am I going to compete with Windows 95?
Yeah, it's there's probably some people still using it. That's the scary part.
Yeah, they probably are.
Yeah,
not you clearly, because that's smooth intro, man. That was catchy. It was good.
Cheers, man. It helps when you got a good soundtrack from our friends at Electric Mary to.
Yeah, it was rocking. It was good.
Yeah, so it's good, and it's been great, as you would have seen in some of those visuals. We've had plenty of guests up from a wide genre of all sorts of things, from art all the way through to arts and music, and just guys just generally having a chat. So the story behind this podcast, really, Nathan, how it came together is we got sick of going for a walk and having a chat to people during the bad days, and we'd walk around the block, and then we got sick of talking about the same old people. So we started thinking, I wonder what good old Jono down in Geelong's doing. And while we couldn't have a chat to him, we thought we'd just work out how to go live on Facebook and click the button. And all of a sudden, that's how it kicked off. And we got a muso mate on first gig. Obviously, we were very wary of what happened in the music world with everything shut down overnight, pubs and clubs and everything else. We were lucky enough to be able to work from home, a lot of us. But in this case, a lot of people didn't either, and that had their careers just decimated overnight. And as you know, a couple of years on, Nath, we're up to episode 95. So welcome, mate.
It's a huge effort, man. Well done.
Yeah, so we aim to just keep it going, mate. And honestly, we've had some really good reaction just on chats, just general chats about life, but also finding out we've had musicians on for a lot of the episodes and also got them back. And it's something we love, music and out there seeing gigs. And we like to always try and share it with an artist and find a little bit about the artist and what else is going on in their world and where they've been. And, you can have a chat. Or, you may be able to give a bit of information out to a young and up-and-coming artist as well as someone else that thought they know enough about you, but obviously didn't know anything until we had this chat. And they'd be surprised with what they find out. So there we go.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, let's kick all the way back off to your first music memory in the house. Who was it? Do you ever remember? And what was on the radio play?
So like I'm 43, I think. I don't know. Yep. I once everything just became blur. So like most folks my age, there was like one of those really big silver stereos with like the components. It was a Pioneer cassette. It was the amp. It was the FM radio that, like, as you move that, you could almost feel the slider go across the FM dial, like, as it went up and up and up. And then it would go green for AM and orange for FM. Yeah. And I had no idea what those letters meant. I was just like, sick colors. And I remembered I would sit. One of the earliest memories I've got is sitting like that to the glass, opening up the cabinet, or sitting that close to the glass. And it was the time when the Never Ending Story came out. Yeah. And so it was like Fox FM, and that theme song was everywhere.
Wasn't it?
And I remember, I sat cross-legged and just like this, and I remember just that the song from Never Ending Story. I reckon that's the earliest memory of music in the house.
Yep.
And then it was, Dad's record collection was right in the cupboard next door to the component, and the Doors' LA Woman was this. Right. Yeah. And it was because it was Riders on the Storm, on the B side, I think. And so you've got that like thunderstorm sort of crackle happening. And I was like, what's this music? This isn't Never Ending Story. This isn't, the stuff that you're hearing on Countdown or, that was probably my earliest memories.
Yeah, very different. I don't think we've had a Doors straight up as an early memory of music, which is great. It's a good way to be, and a real trip as a young kid, waking up with the Doors cranking, especially Riders on the Storm.
Oh yeah, and my parents they're pretty straighty 180. For mum and dad to have a Doors record, it was it was pretty cool, and there was a good collection there. It was nice.
Yeah, awesome. And music in the family at all? Is that been part of any roots there?
So my grandfather was he was part of the Welsh male choir. So when they moved out here in the early 60s, he brought his 7 kids from a small village just sort of north of Cardiff, and he wanted a better life for the kids and the family. So my grandparents emigrated to Australia and moved to Frankston, and he brought the Welsh choir with him, that feeling. And in the community, he got he started it up in Melbourne, and he passed earlier in the year. And at his funeral, the current members of the Welsh male choir in Melbourne they sang at his funeral, and he had this big barrel chest, and right up until he passed, he was a dude you wouldn't want to mess with. He was a coal miner and a crane driver, and I think that genetic sort of rumbling in my big barrel chest comes from him. But my parents have always said that they don't know where the music came from because they don't play. My sister played the French horn for a little bit, a little bit of violin when I was a kid, just hear that screeching through the hall. And I think the grandfather.
Yeah, right. And the guitar was the first and last instrument for you to pick up?
Yeah, around grade 6, Mum was dead keen on me starting an instrument. I said drums, and she said no.
Yeah.
So I went back to the table with saxophone, and she said no. She said, "We've got an old guitar, you can use that." And I was like, okay. So I'm pretty thankful that she said no to the drums, because that's too much to pack up, man. That's a lot to cart around.
It is. Guitars are hard enough, especially if you become a guitar junkie like a lot of people, and almost have to have one per song these days.
Yeah, well, that's it's funny you should say that. I had a friend pop in just after work today, and he's got a maths rule for guitars, that N is the number of guitars you have, N plus 1 is what you need. So you always need that extra one. He's got the same rule for skateboards. Like it's a good rule for life.
Yeah. But you definitely fall in love with them, don't you? All shapes, all sizes, all colors, and the longer they hang around, the longer the memories and more memories they create. So they're harder to part with, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. There are some that I really regret getting rid of some of the guitars I had when I was a teenager. But no one can tell you what to do when you're a teenager. So you're like, oh yeah, I'll sell this and I'll buy this other thing. And you look back at it and you're like, why did I do that? You absolute goose.
I gave up this for that.
That's right.
In the end,
so now, like, I'll never get rid of anything. Like, I'll just hoard it. I would hate to look back and go, geez, I wish I'd held on to that, that bass or that guitar, or So it's definitely an addictive thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to be. You've been nice enough to be able to play us a couple of live tracks. So I'm going to get you to pick up that guitar, mate, and give us your first one.
All right. So in March of this year, I put the first song out from the album, Something Rare and Beautiful, that came out at the end of June. And this was one of the last ones that I wrote for the album. I didn't do a whole lot of writing during the bad years. And this is one that I took to rehearsal with the band. Like, I had the record written. I'd done all the homework. I'd done the preparation. And then, there was lockdown after lockdown. It was like that series of unfortunate events. No, the series of, like, we just came out and then we went back in pretty much straight away. Like, I think I went outside and then, on the TV, it was like, sorry, sucker. You gotta go back in for another 6 weeks.
We saw you outside.
Yeah. So we, we had the thing written, and in that time, like, we just took a big break because we had a baby that arrived. Life changed pretty dramatically, and so I ended up having more time to write. So this is one that came out at the start of the year. Last song to be written for the album. I took it to the band, and we all looked and we knew, that's a winner. It's called The Wildest Thing.
No problem.
Cutting through the crowd, you were shining like a star. Watched you dancing on the tables, stealing drinks across the bar. You sang to Wilson Pickett, you knew every single song. When they kicked you out for smoking, told me I should tag along, 'cause you were only gonna be in town tonight. And you were the wildest thing I ever seen. You said through night and day with me. Well, in and out of weeks and every moment in between, you were the wild second thought to ditching all my friends so we could break into the pool, climbing right over the fence. I tried to shift my eyeline when you stripped off all your clothes. Then you laughed and called me bashful. Then you pulled me in so close. Well, you said your name was Sarah, but you lied. You were the wildest thing I ever seen. You said through night and day with me, living out of weeks and every moment in between. You were the wildest thing I ever seen. Oh, please don't go. I'll eat you up, I love you so. You were the wildest thing I ever seen. You said through night and day with me, living out of weeks and every moment in between. You were the wildest thing I ever seen. You were the wildest thing I ever seen. You were the wildest thing I ever seen.
Yeah, awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. I love it. It was actually the first time I heard it live, obviously, this last Sunday, just gone with Fuzzy Sundays. So I'd heard a sneak preview of it a little bit that you'd kind of posted recently, and then the album's come out. It's only a week or so old, isn't it, now?
It came out on the 23rd of June, so about 5 weeks.
Yeah, month old. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Sneaking up quickly. June flipped by super quick.
Yeah.
Sure did. The Wildest Thing. Great name, mate. Great name.
Yeah. I don't even know how. Like, I wanted to do a love song, a drinking song, or like, that sounds really country. I don't like, for a lot of the times that I write stuff, I'll sort of just make it up as I go and record it as I go, and then go back to it and go, which lines are sort of sticking out, or but that one sort of came together really quickly, in an afternoon. And I borrowed a bit from Where the Wild Things Are. That's like one of my favorite books of all time. So, there's some references in there. So thanks to the late great Maurice Sendak for letting me not being grumpy. I'm not getting calls from his estate.
Yeah. And album art. We're huge on album art here and always talk about it. So tell us a little bit about this one, mate. I know it's part of other things as well, but closer to the other album, but just tell us a little bit about this one and where that came from.
So the idea it started in my head of this, like the roadside motel. There was some Instagram photographers that I was following. And I loved that idea when we were traveling around the States of the old sort of, that we stayed in those sort of drive up motels where, it was as cheap as chips, and, it was ratty and dirty, and you didn't care because it was part of the experience, part of the adventure. And so, I went to the artist, his name is Jace Harper. He's a Queensland artist. And I came across his work because he does the posters for Shot Kickers.
Yep.
And he'd done a poster for Skyscraper Stand, did a residency there. Yeah. And the poster popped up, and I was like, that's the art that's, in my head, like that style. And it didn't take long for him to get it. And so each of the singles is like all the singles in the album take place like in that same motel. The time of day changes, and the car changes, and there's little Easter eggs, and I wanted people to be able to go and have a second look or a third look, or to, especially with the record as well, to be able, when you've got it on 12-inch vinyl and you're looking at it like I do, like and a lot of people you want to take something away from that. Yeah, so I really dug what he was able to do.
Yeah. Let's bring up the album cover while we're there. That's the next progression of it, or this is where it all culminates. In this album cover.
But like it was, and it was nice because it sort of captures the vibe of the song. Like, I didn't want a photo of me on the album cover, so that every time I'm trying to sell it off to people, I feel like I'm selling part of myself. At least here it's it's someone else's art that goes with my songs.
Yeah.
It
definitely creates a story and the whole feel for picturing where potentially the song could be placed, or the album sits in that part of
sure.
wherever. And that could be central mid Queensland driving through, or New South Wales, but it also could be almost on Route 66 in the States. So it's a real journey, like storytelling is, as you know. Your first song you ever wrote, do you remember it?
Yeah, I do, and it was terrible, and it was like I reckon I would have been in about year 8. So I started playing guitar in grade 6, and mate, I reckon I wrote it for a girl, and I did that thing you do when you're a dumb kid. You get the cassette tape deck out, and you hit the 2 buttons, and like I recorded it and I gave her the tape, and she was so polite about it. And it was like, I know it in my head. It's shocking. And she was so very polite about it. And I think that probably encouraged me to do more of it, because I was like, it didn't get laughed down. She was probably absolutely cacking herself and sharing it with her friends and having a laugh about it. But it was all about rainbows and clouds and stuff like that. And you're like,
right.
What life experience have you got when you're 13, 14?
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of cool though that you had that, that initial buzz from writing a song, that of the power of what music can do, I guess, put a smile on someone's face, and the way to portray emotions in another way. So, mate, year 8's pretty good effort.
Yeah. Like, it was 3 chords. Yeah, it was advanced for 13.
Did then a love song become a breakup song?
We weren't even going out.
Yeah, right.
Like,
so didn't work that well for you.
No, oh God, no. It was like, I really like you as a friend, and I was like, oh damn. I think that was like the first time that had ever been. It was the first of many times that was said to me.
Oh, that's all right.
Happens
to the best.
You're a real sweet guy.
Yeah, happens to you. Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
You're like a brother.
By the way, who's your friend? Yeah,
that's right.
So we mentioned that obviously your first instrument and your stalemate instrument now is become your guitar. Do you still play anything else, or is guitar it for you now?
We've got an almost 2-year-old, and so there's ukuleles all around the house. So I can play a mean, out of tune ukulele. I'm trying to nail the Bluey intro theme song on the ukulele. That's a good one. I've self-taught a little bit of piano. I tried to get my head around banjo. I'd love to be able to get my really big hands around a mandolin, but it's like I put one finger on the on the fretboard, and it covers the whole fretboard.
Yeah.
And you've got to be pretty nimble. So a lot of respect for mandolin players out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I stick to wide necked guitars. Yeah.
No, we'll stick to it now, mate. You do it well. So you've been doing it for a while, but you're hitting your straps now, especially with this album. I think this album's a ripper. And the comment from a mate of mine who came to the gig on Sunday, is late to your party, but definitely on board now. Bought the album and absolutely loves it. So
he certainly did. I remember selling it to him.
Yeah, it was a good good recommendation from Johnny Wordy, who's a big fan of yours, obviously. First time I discovered you was at the Union, actually. So not that long ago, really. I'm kind of pretty late to the party as well. But it's a great time to check out new music. So many gigs on now, and it's a little bit hard to get to all these gigs these days. We try and get to and support as many as we can. We probably see 3 or 4 gigs a week these days, out supporting music. I think it's so important that if you haven't been out getting amongst music, you really need to, for not only the musicians but the venues and getting everyone's confidence again. It's a tough time, I know, but still need to dig deep and try and support everyone, because definitely getting everyone together. Well, I found like Fuzzy Sundays was unbelievable. Just one of those great venues. I think you mentioned able to have your kids there. Not often that happens. That must be pretty special, mate, to be able to. You probably don't realize it as much now, but later on in life, it would be pretty special for him as well.
Oh, look. So my wife and I, for all of our time together, we've been running mates. Like that's joined at the hip. We're always at gigs together. If I was playing shows, it was always the two of us that went. And that was really important to us that didn't disappear when our son came along. But we wanted to be able to find a way to make it work where the 3 of us could go and we talk about core memories, and developing or fostering those core memories, trying to find opportunities to lock those in for us, but also for him as he grows up, and whether he gets into music or not, it doesn't matter. Like it's the experience of being together and sharing what we love with him, and vice versa. When he gets a bit older, we'll reciprocate that. And earlier in the year, I did a tour to South Australia as part of the Wildest Thing release. And there was 3 shows over a weekend. So we drove over on the Friday, played the Friday night, played the Saturday night, played the Sunday afternoon. He came along to all 3 shows.
Yep.
I was up first, and he was there with my wife. And then as he started to turn into a pumpkin, they said, "See you later," and tiptoed back to where we were staying.
Yeah.
And then we tried that again with New South Wales and Canberra, and try to get him along to as many as possible. Like, he loves the Union, like that stage area with the balustrade. I've got lots of photos of him.
I did see that photo. I haven't got that photo, but I've got this one, which is a cracker as well.
Yeah. So that was Queenscliff Music Festival last year.
Yep.
And when there is no stage and you're just playing on the ground, there's no stopping him. So yeah, like I'm kind of bummed because it took me, I'm in my 40s now. It took me up till now to get onto that stage, and he just rolls up. He hasn't done the hard work. He hasn't put in the hard yards, and he's backstage, and meeting Kim Salmon, and he's meeting Ash Naylor and Sherry Parry, and it's like, I'm meeting them for the first time. How So it's nice that we're getting these experiences together.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, you take it for granted almost at the moment, but it'll be pretty special later in life for sure to look back on those memories. All right, mate. We're going to kick off with the second one as you moisten the lips. What else have you got for us?
So one of the the songs that I think I put probably more effort into writing, drafting. I think I rewrote this song like 5 times to get it right. Was the second single that came out just before the album. It's about a 1970 LC Tirani. You can see the little image behind our lovely faces there.
Yeah.
And it was I was 11 years old when Dad brought home that car. I wanted to write on this record, being the second one, and I didn't know how many of them I'd get to put out. I wanted to put some more of myself into this album. And so went pretty hard on the autobiographical nature of writing. So I wrote this for Dad. And yeah, it's about one of the best cars that ever rolled off the assembly line. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Go for it.
$800 and a bottle of gin. Couldn't tell where the rust stopped and the paint would begin. He brought it home bronze, but he swore it was gold. True 1970 sight to behold. Well, that stick shift was supposed to read 8, but that pool ball said 6, which was great. My hand at the window, my head in the clouds, sat in the tape deck, music up loud, my feet on the dashboard, wind in our hair. When I close my eyes, still picture me there in the passenger chair. The surf wax and sand stuck in every crack. No trace of a seatbelt was held in the back. My sister would crouch when he'd drop us at school, but I was a kid, so I thought it was cool. I learned to drive it somewhere down the line. Then by 18, that car would be mine. My hand at the window, my head in the clouds, sat in the tape deck, music up loud, my feet on the dashboard, wind in our hair. When I close my eyes, still picture me there, the passenger chair. Came home from school, the car wasn't there. Mom said that you'd sold it, and I cursed you, I swear. 'Cause a Cortina gear, well, it just ain't the same as an LC Tirana with a slightly warped frame. My head out the window, my head in the clouds, sat in the tape deck, music up loud, feet on the dashboard, wind in our hair. When I close my eyes, still picture me there in the passenger chair. I still picture me there in that passenger chair.
Yeah, well, fantastic, mate. Such memories as a kid. This is what I think. It sounds pretty old school, but kids these days won't appreciate that feeling. The cassette feeling. Trying to change out songs over. What's on the opposite side? The tape that wouldn't wind out. As all the disasters used to have. Sharing cassettes and trying to read what song was next. That was a cool experience, though, for sure.
Yeah, like it wasn't a passive experience. Like I find, you're driving along now and you've got your phone connected to the Bluetooth, and it's passive because it's skipping to the next song and it's doing the thinking for you.
Mm.
You're not really putting that time and effort in, that brain time, and like that's fine. Like that, I'm not saying that it should go back to that thing, but it's nice to have lived through that, and to have that comparison, I suppose, that it's nostalgia and it's something that you can miss and go, oh geez, that was nice, I'm glad I got to do that. Yeah. And like I'm glad that I survived the CD wallet era as well.
Like, absolutely.
You're worrying about people on their mobile phones, but you used to have the book.
Big
and you'd
book,
be in the car, you'd be flipping through, doing 100 down the highway, and you're like, how did we survive?
Yeah. And then some genius brought in that little one that would hold about 8 CDs behind the visor. Remember that one?
So you're constantly bringing it back down.
So that's right in your way, right in your eyesight. Even better.
The light hits it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good times, though, for sure. If you had to put a little playlist of 5 songs together now, mate, what's it look like for you these days? Who's your absolute 5? Give us 5 go-tos.
5 go-tos. I feel like that's that moment in that High Fidelity movie when he's just like, are you talking, top 5 songs for a Monday morning, top 5 breakup songs?
Well, I'll give you this one. You're jumping in that LC Tirana.
Okay.
What are you playing?
Look, I couldn't go past some John Morland. I think he's one of the best songwriters going around. Look, I know. Oh God, I wish I'd done my homework, Aaron. Like
that's all right. We find it better that totally unprepared, mate. We get a better reaction from everyone because it just comes up as you're about to jump in the car now. I've just thrown you the keys.
Yeah,
walking out. What are you?
Look, I'll go. Like, obviously, some John Morland. There's always a lot of Jason Isbell. Like, the American Aquarium, who I'm wearing at the moment, like they're huge influences on me. Lately, there's a girl out of Texas called Caitlin Butts. She's got like an 8-track album, and that's just one of the most perfect little mini albums that I've heard in a long time. What's that? That's 4.
Yeah, one more.
The other one that we've been flogging for the past 12 months is Butch Walker as Glenn. It's like a concept record. That's one of the best sort of pop rock. I don't even know what to call it. It's an awesome rock and roll record. It's basically Meatloaf and Billy Joel songs.
Yeah, right.
It's good. So that rounds out my top 5.
Yeah, cool. Do you find yourself in any kind of mashup world these days? The music's pretty experimental. People are talking about psych rock making a big comeback at the moment. There's a lot of country musos also playing that sort of stuff just as what they love as soon as they plug in electrically. Obviously, acoustics a lot of your go-to, but I don't know if you caught. Did you catch the Grapes set on Fuzzy Sundays?
We were heading out because the boy decided to turn as they took the stage. Look, I don't know. Like I stick to the acoustic because like you were there on Sunday, and you would have seen the band that I'm with. so Sean, who plays guitar with me,
Yeah, incredible.
yeah, like just phenomenal. And early on, I took an acoustic and an electric to rehearsal with a bunch of songs that I'd written, and I reckon I got halfway through the first song on electric, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to stay out of your lane. Like that's it gives time for him to shine, but also like I know where I'm comfortable. I know what my limitations are, and I know what I can do on this thing or another acoustic guitar. I'm not a shredder. It's never been something that has come to me. I think there are always wonderful people that you can tap on the shoulder and get them to do the good thing, and everyone's got their skill set. But yeah.
And on this
was, I just started talking.
No, that's all right. I thought that was the first time I'd seen him play guitar in that way too, and just beautiful slide. And what he played is just enough. Like he wasn't overdoing it in sections, and I thought it was great. It was such a well balanced little band there, mate. Hats off to all you guys. Yeah,
the Mark, the drummer, I've been playing with him for 8 years in a couple of different outfits. Matt, who's on bass, when we were going in to do The Heart of the City, which is the first record I did, I tapped him on the shoulder and pulled him out of retirement. And I'd known him since he was sort of 15, playing punk rock shows down here in Geelong. We used to sneak them in to play underage because they were cheap. And we didn't have to give them drink cards. But Sean, he was in metal bands down here in Geelong, and then got into the blues. And I reckon there's a fine line between metal playing and country chicken picking. And he's just he is. He's understated, and he could let that ego get a hold of him because he's so bloody good. And I find myself playing, and I get distracted very easily, and I'll look over and I'll be like, oh damn, there's a chord change, but I'm a gog. I'm just like,
There's a beautiful balance between playing just enough, and it's probably harder to play just enough so nicely, so effortlessly, that it's seemingly effortlessly, than just thrashing it out. So
he could make it look hard at least.
Exactly.
Just do like this occasionally.
Absolutely. Look like he's struggling a little bit at least. Looks like it comes so easy to him. But on this new album, mate, let's just touch on that again. Obviously some great tracks and a couple now you've released the singles. What was the first one that you considered absolutely finished? Was there one that came together kind of the quickest, I guess?
The first one I wrote for this album, or thinking about writing a collection of songs, was a song called Little Church, which is I think track 6 on the album. And the first record, the first full-length album that I did, The Heart of the City, has got some real heavy hitters, like thematically on it, lyrically, on that record. And I wanted to, after touring it, putting that out, I wanted to get a little bit lighter for myself, because after singing those heavy songs for, shows and shows and shows, and that it takes a little bit of a toll on the soul. And so I wanted to be able to almost challenge myself to write something that was a little lighter tonally, but still had weight. Could you write a happy song but still have it land in a way that's meaningful? And so I played it at the Merry Creek Tavern for the first time, and I did the intro and said, here's something brand new that I've just finished writing. I wanted to write something a little bit more happy. And I got to the end of the set, and one of my good friends, she came up to me and she goes, it's still sad. And I was like, yeah, but it sounds happy. And she said, that's you, isn't it? Like, yeah, you can do sad and happy and at the same time. So that sort of freed me up to do whatever I wanted to do, basically.
Yeah. Just tell them it's in a different key. It's in the happy key.
Yeah. Like it's all G chords or G-shaped chords. I just change the capo around.
Yeah. Nice little trick of the trade, right?
That's right. Whoops.
Avoid all the tuning headaches. Just give me one absolute favorite artist for you right now. Who are you really kind of digging right now?
Look, I'd say, like, of those five, I think outside of those five that I mentioned just before, there's an American artist called Morgan Wade, and I think the record was Wilder Days, might have been the name of the record, that came out last year, and that's an absolute ripper of a record. It was produced by Isbell's guitarist. And she's right up there. Like, she's going to be huge.
Yeah. I'm not sure who the guy was, his current guitarist that came out with him on his last tour that he just did.
Yeah, Sadler.
Yeah, I think it was actually. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Like, how do you play electric guitar in Isbell's band?
Yeah.
Like, because he's just an absolute shredlord.
Yeah.
But he holds his own, man. Like, he's a great player, and like, he knows how to find his place, and they all do in that band. They know how to make it work, and I think that's the sign of a really good touring band, when you see them and you're like, yeah, you know what to do to make that song work. Yeah.
And just touch on, for me, your songwriting process. How do you go about putting a song together these days?
So I've, like most people, I've got an app on my phone that is filled with voice memos, and I don't want to update my phone, because Apple had an app that came out in like 2016 called Music Memos. And it's like, it comes up with all the chord names. It gives you like a rough beats per minute. It had like a little fake drum kit that, like, it was like a little AI drum kit. So if you were playing in time, it'd give you a beat, just to sort of, but like, I've got hundreds and hundreds of ones where, I'll sit down and I'll start, as I am now, and I'll start sort of going through some chord progressions, and I'll hum it. And then if I can come up with a hook line or something, like, there'll be a lot of sort of improvised nonsense words, and I'll sort of let whatever is coming out come out. I won't try to edit or stop it. And as I'm doing that, if I get something that I think, oh, that's good, I'll hit record on the app, and just sort of play it through, as for as long as it needs to go. And when it finds a finish, and I'll go back to the ones that I sort of really do like, and I'll favorite them, or I'll start to, I'll get the yellow legal pad out, and I'll start to write down, oh, what was that line in that thing? Oh, that would make a really good start of a second verse. I just sort of, I sing it out basically to find what it is. Unless there is, like with cassette, if there is something that is really specific, that a story that I want to tell, then I'll sit down, I'll rework it. But I try to keep the editor out of the process early on. I think for a lot of the time early in my career, I tried to edit as I was writing, as I was drafting, which would mean that you never get anything done. Like I'm at a stage now where my mentality is just finish the song. You can always go back and you can always edit and you can always, work out how many syllables are going to fit there and, what am I going to change in that phrase. If it's finished as a draft, you've got more to work with. But if you sort of get in your own way and say, oh, no, it's got to be like this and it's got to have that feeling. For me, that doesn't work. I've never written with anyone else because I'm pretty pig-headed. I like to do things my own way. But you do whatever works for you, and sometimes it'll be I'll write down a verse and then I'll put chords to it. Other times I'll find chords first.
Did you have you had any of those 1 a.m., 2 a.m. wake ups and you've got something magic?
I've had there was a song on The Heart of the City called Beast Beneath the Bed, which is about lying awake at night and you feel like every time you close your eyes, when you sit on a remote control and the TV screen just starts to go ding, 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 change channel. So I had that idea in my head, but I didn't have a chorus for it. And I pulled a Keith Richards and woke up at about 2:00 in the morning, rolled over, and I had it, and I knew the chords in my head, and I wrote it down and was able to finish it. So that one's my Rolling Stones moment.
Right, that's the go-to. Go back and listen for a good little insight there for sure. Mate, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I know we could talk for another hour quite easily, especially on a Tuesday or a midweek. Thanks for joining us, mate. I really appreciate it.
That's right.
We're going to have you play one more out, if you don't mind. I'm going to play one of your little live vids at the finish. So I'll let you take us to the last song. And once again, mate, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I really appreciate it, man. It's nice to be able to just chat about music and like I feel it's the great uniter. Like it's the thing that brings people together. A lot of the people in my life, and I'm sure that anyone who's watching and yourself, a lot of the important people in our lives are because of music. You can walk into a show and not know someone, but by the end of it, you've either had a handshake or shared a beer, or you've both loved that line in the song, and the finger comes up, and suddenly you've got something that you can talk about for a long time. And that's where the title of the record came from. For me, that's what music is. It's something rare and beautiful. Yeah,
absolutely. So, congratulations on the album, mate, and wish you all the best for further gigs, and hope to see you out there soon. If you haven't heard of Nathan Seeckts, please get out there and check out his music. We'll post a couple of links as we do in the future, and please get out there and get Nathan's new album and support a great local artist. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you very much. We talked earlier about, you said, top 5. And my go-to sort of songwriting benchmark hero is John Morland. So I thought I'd close out with a John Morland cover. I don't do many covers, which is strange because Geelong has a lot of cover bands. Anyway, this is Hang Me in the Tulsa County Stars by John Morland.
Cool.
Hang me in the Tulsa County Star. Hang me in the Tulsa County Star. Meet me where I land if I slip and fall too far. Hang me in the Tulsa County Star. Well, I don't want to come back down to earth. No, I don't want to come back down to earth. My heart is growing heavy from the ever-endless hurt, and I don't want to come back down to earth. Babe, I know there's This life can make you cold and leave you mad, make you homesick for a home you never had, burning out the good with all the bad. So darling, let the charmers lead the room. Let them drown in the Nashville moon. And I want to learn exactly where you are. So hang me in the Tulsa County Star. Find me in the Indian Nation sky. You can find me in the Indian Nation sky. When it feels like nothing's real and no one's standing on your side. Just find me in the Indian Nation sky. I set ablaze the secrets I conceal. Set ablaze secrets we conceal. If I can make you feel the way you make me feel, set ablaze the secrets we conceal. Babe, I know this world will have the wolves outside your door, make you leave all your love to fight a war. Never tell you what you're dying for. So darling, let the charmers lead the room. Let them have that Nashville moon. And I want to know exactly who you are. Then hang me in the Tulsa County Star. Just hang me in the Tulsa County Star.
Yeah. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to finish off with about 40 seconds of a live performance from Nathan with a song off this track, off this album, actually, song number 8, Measured and Waiting. I'm just going to play a little snippet from and then please jump on YouTube, anyone that's watching or listening, and Google this song and check out the full clip because it's a pretty powerful song. So congratulations on that one too, Nate. But thanks again for coming on board, mate. Episode 95. Maybe we can have you on the 100th show just as a little quick snippet somewhere along the line, mate. But we'd love to have you back.
Excellent. Thanks very much, man. Really appreciate it.
No problem. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
How good was that, Nathan Seeckts? All right, here we go with a little snippet from Measured and Wanting.
Turned away without a reason by the keepers of their gate, clutching tightly to the clipboard that heralds all our fate. You turn a different corner, then you find you're not alone. Man, there's nothing like acceptance to rock you to the bones. Well, I've been measured, I've been wanting for 100,000 days, but I was wrong. Everybody runs their own race, so leave the pack and run along.